Well, good evening, everybody. We are almost at the end of the week, and I'm here with Gregg Shapiro.
Hello, hello.
And a croqueta.
Yes.
Yes, very Cuban.
Your favorite pastelito.
I went to, and Gordon Woodworth III. I went to Hamburger Mary's last night, and Carla was in a Cuban flag.
Cool. Was it homage to my roots?
Yes, yes.
Was it sequined?
Of course, absolutely. It was. Yeah, it's not drag if it's not sequined, baby.
Exactly. Oh, we're going to tell a lot of news here tonight, and here we go. Well, welcome to Queer News Tonight, the world's first and only LGBTQ plus daily evening news. It's time to queer up news. It's 8 p.m. Thursday, September 23, 2021, and we are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your important stories we're going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight.
This is the world's first live daily LGBTQ evening news show, literally out of the closet and into the headlines on Queer News Tonight with Al Ferguson.
Thank you for joining Queer News Tonight. This is the world's first and only unedited live LGBTQ plus evening news show. Whatever happens, you will see it. Queer News Tonight is supported by viewers like you. We are a part of the Happening Out Television Network, HotSpots Magazine, and WMEG Events. HotSpots is celebrating 36 years of the LGBTQ plus experience. Merged, we bring you the best of LGBTQ plus news, entertainment, and support of our community.
Well, this evening, we're going to bring you the news of and a perspective representing the LGBTQ plus community from South Florida, America, and across our planet. I'm your anchor at Queer News Tonight, Al Ferguson. Let's begin by welcoming anchor Gordon Woodworth III. They identify as genderqueer, non-binary, and they are a Gen Zer. They are also pagan and a data specialist at the Broward House, a not-for-profit social services organization with 30 years of providing support for our community impacted by HIV. Gordon also runs an alt-space VR channel called Pagans in Virtual Reality. Good evening, Gordon.
Thank you, Al, and I hope everybody had a very nice autumn equinox yesterday.
I did.
So next, let's welcome anchor and legendary drag queen, Karla Croqueta. She is hands down one of the city's funniest drag performers. Plus, she's the patron saint of Hialeah and the most Miami queen in all the land. Bro, she was appointed Ultimate Miami Drag Queen and has been dubbed by Miami New Times Best Drag Performer, known as one of the people instrumental in jump-starting Miami's new queer wave of drag. And the sentiment still stands. She's currently hosting Fruit Cocktail Brunch every Sunday at Sweet Liberty on South Beach. Welcome, Carla.
Bro.
Bro. Let's welcome anchor Gregg Shapiro, a 1999 inductee into the Chicago LGBT Hall of Fame. Gregg is the author of 2 short story collections and 5 books of poetry. He is also an entertainment journalist. His celebrity interviews and music reviews run in a variety of regional LGBTQ plus and mainstream publications and websites. And his Screensaver movie review column can be found in South Florida Gay News, San Francisco's Bay Area Reporter, RottenTomatoes.com, and more. Good evening, Gregg.
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. We are the reporters for Queer News Tonight, and this evening we begin with the queer headlines. The LGBTQ plus community in South Florida and across America is diverse. Our community across the world is vast. And here are the bullet points of the queer news for today, Thursday, September 23rd.
Well, let's begin by queering up politics. Marry Trump about Donald Trump in response to the lawsuit. He is a fucking loser. When the New York Times released documents that were allegedly Donald Trump's tax records, everyone wondered where those documents came from. When Mary Trump wrote her memoir about the Trump family, she revealed she was the source. Now the Donald is suing both his niece and 3 reporters from the Times and the paper itself. The lawsuit accuses the Times reporters of tortuous interference in settlement agreement when they, quote, relentlessly sought out his niece, Mary Trump, and convinced her to smuggle the records out of her attorney's office and turn them over to the Times, end quote. One of those reporters, Suzanne Craig, tweeted, quote, I knocked on Mary Trump's door. She opened it. I think they call that journalism, end quote. In an interview with the Daily Beast, Mary Trump continued and said, quote, I think he's a fucking loser, and he is going to throw anything against the wall he can. It's desperation. The walls are closing in, and he is throwing anything against the wall that will stick. And is always the case with the Donald. He'll try and change the subject, end quote.
That's the thing about a libel lawsuit, is if you're telling the truth, they just throw it out.
Right.
Well, and he is a litigious bastard, but you wonder, is he paying these lawyers that he's sicking on his niece and everybody else?
Probably not. I wish he had this much enthusiasm in the past when they were trying to get his tax records.
Yeah,
Right.
that's exactly right. You know, it's very interesting to me. There's not a chance in the world that this is going to stick. But of course, he's accomplishing what he wants. He wants to constantly place himself in the headlines because his base, the radical crazies of his base, love these kind of stories. And oh, by the way, because we discussed it, I could use the F word because I was contextually quoting Mary Trump.
That's right.
So YouTube is okay with me doing that. Just saying.
Well, next, let's queer up entertainment. Stannie from Sex and the City star Willie Garson dies at age 57. Fans of Sex and the City are all familiar with Carrie Bradshaw's gay best friend, Stanford Stannie Blatch. Actor Willie Garson, who played Stannie, made even small appearances of the character impactful, and having appeared in 27 episodes of the show, as well as many other movies and shows. Sadly, Willie Garson died this week at age 57 after a battle with cancer. Garson is remembered by many in Hollywood, but his adopted son Nathan summed it up best. On his Instagram, he posted, quote, I love you so much, Papa. Rest in peace, and I'm so glad you got to share all your adventures with me and were able to accomplish so much. I'm so proud of you. I will always love you, but I think it's time for you to go on an adventure of your own. You'll always be with me. Love you more than you'll ever know, and I'm glad you can be at peace now. You always were the toughest and funniest and smartest person I've known. I'm glad you shared your love with me. I'll never forget it or lose it. End quote. We will all miss that tough, funny, and smart person behind so many treasured characters.
He played a great role on that show. It's a great supporting cast.
And he was a really respectful supporting actor, and he never upstaged his co-stars, of course. How do you upstage Matt Bomer, SJP, or Mario Cantone, you know?
That's true.
But he also portrayed a gay character on that show in a way that was really accurate for a lot of gay people's lives. And I'll always remember that. I was a huge fan of the show.
You know, it's funny. I was not a fan of Sex and the City, although I did watch a bit of it.
Leaving.
Wait,
Wrong.
Really? Really? Everybody at the table. Wrong. And gasp from Carla. Not a big fan. One of my best memories, though, of the show was his appearances. He was funny and he was fun to watch. He's going to be interesting as time goes on because he is a historical character for this show based on a timed footprint. Right. He was a stereotype. He was the more effeminate gay guy, best friend of the really hot girl. And that's a stereotype. And 20 years from now, people will come back to that and go, wow, that's a really dated stereotype.
Yeah.
Well, it was intentionally designed to be a dated stereotype. And Willie Garson was perfect at doing it. He'll be missed.
I agree. Now, let's queer up trans rights. Trans contestant and his father wow the Voice judge Ariana Grande with a duet. Fans of The Voice are familiar with the blind audition process, where judges cannot see the performers as they sing. Trans teen Sasha Allen was drawn to this saying, quote, I do have a special connection to the concept of a blind audition, where the only thing that matters is the art and who the person is inside, end quote. He explained why this resonated with his trans identity, saying, quote, I remember at night just laying in bed and thinking, if I could just wake up as a completely different person, I would do it. I would give up everything. I have to be able to live in peace and live comfortably without being tormented internally. End quote. When he and his father performed Leaving on a Jet Plane by John Denver, both Kelly Clarkson and Ariana Grande hit their famous red buttons that show. They wanted the singers to be on their team. The duo decided to join Ariana Grande's team. Grande said it was really beautiful. It was refreshing. I don't know that we have anyone on the show that sounds like them. End quote. I think representation is extremely important. It's extremely important, and I love the fact that this show gives you the ability, as he said, to go on blindly and just be judged by your art form. So I think that that is wonderful.
But also, this is a show that not just young people who watch Netflix are going to see. This is on basic cable. So, and that most of that viewership is much older. So this is important representation.
Yes.
Here.
It's called, to the Gen Zer, broadcast television. Broadcast.
Yeah, but
He
it-
looks
Let me
at Greg
write
and
that
me and
down.
goes, okay, fine.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm not a fan of this kind of talent show. I just think it's. But anyway, I got very, very choked up watching the two of them, the clip of the two of them performing, and then the reaction of the judges. It was very moving.
You know, I watched this episode, second episode of The Voice, and it was a moving moment. I agree with you, because I was watching it as it was being broadcast for the first time. And
Case in point.
exactly. Is that a Gen Z read? I think it was. What is really interesting to me and moving to me, but also sad to me, all at the same time, is the reflection of this show and its format being blind auditions. The judges can't see the person, and you have a trans person that is sitting and performing where they can't be seen. And we've talked about this so often in terms of the trans community. The visual identity for so many in the trans community is invisibility, and frequently because they want to be invisible. Because they don't want violence or attention drawn to them, or worry about bathrooms or other kinds of things. So I just thought it was an incredibly ironic moment to have a trans competitor on The Voice in blind auditions where the judges couldn't see them. I hope they do really, really well. I really do hope they do well.
Next up, we queer up education. Is it neutrality or backlash? Schools across the country are banning pride and BLM flags. Watch this.
What we're doing is we're following state law.
Chris Williams with the Davis School District says doing that means keeping politics out of the classroom.
We believe that we have to do everything we can to stay politically neutral.
And that
So-
includes no rainbow flags, nothing like that.
Exactly.
They are politicizing the rainbow flag.
The Utah Pride Center doesn't believe that flag belongs on a political list.
That flag for us is so much more. It is just telling us, we're included in the schools. We are being seen in the schools, and we belong in these schools.
I checked with the Utah State Board of Education. A spokesman told me there is nothing in code that specifically defines a rainbow flag as a political statement, so it would be up to district or charter school policies to make that determination.
And a simple flag is a way for us to know that we are seen and we are valid.
Some teachers are now removing rainbow flags that had been up.
That may have been the situation. That could have occurred.
So some teachers have had these flags up before now.
Haha.
And was there a problem with them being up before?
Well, again, we have to keep our classrooms politically neutral. It doesn't necessarily matter if the flag had flown before.
Utah's Davis School District sent an email to teachers and administrators earlier this month claiming that banners in support of the Black and LGBTQ+ communities are banned under its official policies, as they view the flag as politically charged. The spokesperson claimed that Davis is merely following state law by allowing pride and BLM flags on its school campuses, but Utah's rules on the subject are reportedly ambiguous. That uncertainty has led some schools to continue to fly LGBTQ+ banners, even as others are cracking down. One school under Davis's purview even interpreted the district-wide guidelines as applying to stickers and pins, displaying pride flags or pronouns. This follows a wave of anti-LGBTQ policies across the country.
Isn't this the nice, quiet, conservative politics that we've always seen? Oh, we're just following the rules.
No, this
oh,
is
we're just-
censorship.
Exactly.
This is censorship right in front of your face. You're trying to tell kids that their representation does not matter. And we said it earlier in the show, representation is 100% important. And I think that this is just taking away from a cause. It's not a politicized act until you make it something political. So that's what they're doing, is they're trying to make it something political.
You know, it's interesting.
not.
Can you imagine, Hialeah is arguably where you're from, which is, it's a foreign country, isn't it?
Absolutely. You
Yeah.
need 2 passports and 3 vaccine stamps to get through.
Yes, exactly, right. It's interesting to me, as conservative as Hialeah is, can you imagine saying, no, I'm sorry, you can't wear a Cuban flag button in our
Yeah,
schools?
good luck.
Right,
That would
exactly.
not fly
now,
over.
how would the conservative community in Hialeah react to the exact same thing that we're watching in Utah? It's hypocritical.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
100%.
And what happened to the First Amendment?
Yeah, well, and ultimately, I'm sure that's what's going to happen here.
Right.
If they have any legs in terms of being able to enforce this, which I bet they won't, because thousands of media outlets just like us are going to report and talk about this and talk about this, and they're eventually going to crack, bend, and be destroyed for what they're doing. If they had any legs at all, it's going to go into the courts. It's going to be appealed at some place far before the Supreme Court. This is going to be struck down. But it's hypocritical. Imagine in Utah saying, oh no, you can't fly anything pink to support cancer awareness, or you can't, an MIA flag. It's just impossible. This is selective judgment, which represents homophobia.
Right.
That's all this is.
And anti-blackness.
And exactly, anti-blackness.
Yes.
Right.
Next, let's queer up the world. Polish LGBT-free zone policies overturned after EU pulls funding. A region in southern Poland has revoked an anti-LGBTQ resolution under the threat of losing European Union funding. The Regional Assembly of the region voted in a special session on Wednesday to revoke the resolution, which was first passed in 2019 by dozens of Polish municipalities. It is the first time a region in Poland has abandoned the declaration of being an LGBT-free zone. Members of Poland's ruling Law and Justice Party have supported the resolutions, which local communities said were intended to protect families based on unions of a man and a woman. But the appeal marked a reversal for the conservative government after the EU put a hold on millions of euros of funding to the regions.
Money talks, homophobia walks.
There you go.
Go EU.
Well, if it isn't the consequences of your own actions,
Right.
I love it.
Right.
That's right. I have a couple of thoughts. At Queer News Tonight, we have literally reported dozens of stories. Poland created a phrase that we did not hear before 2019, which is LGBTQ or LGBT free zones. That is a phrase that was invented in Poland, and it has trickled over into other Eastern European nations, most notably Hungary, but of course Russia, Ukraine, etc. In all of those stories we reported individual municipalities and cities that were doing it, the response of the EU, the responses of the cities, etc. So the end result of 2 years of us talking about it and the EU fighting Poland and these cities, what is the result? The result is we've won. This is an all-stop moment. This is surrender of an entire region of Poland that says we are not willing to fight for LGBT free zones in lieu of the money that we are going to lose. We've won. This will be a trickle effect all over Poland, because now all of the other regions are going to see what the EU's united stance was, because this was almost a universal stand-up by the EU of saying, we oppose this. Hungary, you're next. And you're going to surrender too. Why? Because we've won. Second thing that's interesting to me, to all of the voices in South Florida, in Hialeah, in all over the South, and really all over America. This example of what the EU has done to Poland is proof that boycotts work. They work. When you argue that, oh, we shouldn't be boycotting, that's the exact opposite result. The only reason this happened is France pulls out 12 million euros to this little town, and because no, we're not going to have these events, and no, we're not going to hold this sporting event in your city, and Poland surrenders. This entire region, 24 cities are involved in this regional abolition of LGBT-free zones. It works. Boycotts work. Hold the money, and homophobia begins to wash away.
That is our queer headlines for today. So let's catch up on the LGBTQ plus news surrounding COVID-19 with our special segment called Quarantine Quickies.
Queer News Tonight has reported on coronavirus on every news broadcast since January 6, 2020. Tonight we report that as of today, more than 3,039,000 LGBTQ plus Americans have contracted COVID-19.
Queer News Tonight remembers the more than 48,000 LGBTQ plus Americans that have died from coronavirus.
The news is improving because as of today, more than 387 million vaccination doses have been administered in the U.S.
That is our pandemic news for tonight. Next, we report on our partnership with Sunshine Cathedral, the world's largest queer church, right here in Fort Lauderdale. We are broadcasting from our permanent set here at Sunshine in supporting that partnership. Happening Out Television Network broadcasts the largest LGBTQ plus religious live broadcast in the world, as more than 30,000 watch every Sunday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern. Watch this.
My name is Lexi Goza of Lexi Goza State Farm Insurance in Midtown, Miami, Florida. I'm also a board member of the Aqua Foundation for Women and the chair of the Women's Empowerment Council for the Miami-Dade Gay and Lesbian Chamber. And Sunshine Cathedral is my queer church.
Well, we finished tonight's queer news headlines with a segment we call LGBTQ plus Flash News. In LGBTQ plus Flash News, Justin Trudeau flubbed while trying to say LGBTQ2 plus. Are we mad? Watch this.
I will never apologize for standing up for an LGBTQ2 plus kids' rights to not have to undergo conversion therapy.
Justin, at Queer News Tonight, we love you. No, he was not discussing the lesbian gross domestic product when he accidentally said LGDP while defending his record on defending LGBTQ2 plus youth conversion therapy. LGBTQ2 plus can be difficult to say when you're not looking right at it. As a matter of fact, production here at Queer News Tonight is putting LGBTQ2 plus into the teleprompter as often as possible just to see if even members of our own community, meaning me, can say it consistently without fumbling. How am I doing? Either way, Trudeau has a proven track record when it comes to protecting LGBTQ2 plus rights.
I think I would flub that too. It's a mouthful, honey.
You don't like mouthfuls?
Oh, I love me a mouthful. It's just a lot.
He's dreamy.
I appreciate him because after 4 years of having a major politician that says a lot and does nothing, it's nice to have somebody who maybe can't talk very well, but does things for us.
Yeah, if Trudeau's having trouble now, imagine when we have 21 letters in our
It's going to keep growing all the time. LGBTQ plus flash news. From HotSpots magazine, Miss Florida FI pageantry system returns. Our partners at HotSpots magazine report on the return of Miss Florida female impersonator pageant system. The social event of the season returns as the 49th anniversary of the Miss Florida FI pageantry system returns on Sunday and Monday, October 3rd and 4th at the beautiful Crystal Ballroom at the venue/The Manor, Fort Lauderdale. On Sunday, October 3rd, it will be 3 pageants in one night with Miss Florida FI at Large, Mr. Florida ME, and Miss Florida FI Supreme pageants. Then on Monday, October 4th, is the Miss Florida FI pageant. The pageantry system attracts some of the top-named female impersonators and movie, TV, and fashion stars from across the US of A and beyond. Find out more on HotSpots magazine now on Stands Now.
We are broadcasting Miss Florida FI on Monday, October 4th. And in reading the details about the pageant, I had no idea the history and the importance of Miss Florida. And it started just 3 years after the Stonewall riots.
I just think we need to get rid of female illusionist. What is a female and what is the illusion, baby? The name just, it doesn't sit right with me.
Oh, okay.
Understandable. The competition will be fierce.
I agree with Carla, but tune into the show to watch some men pretend to be a woman, and then come tomorrow morning when Carla is out of drag to see someone pretend to be a man.
I don't pretend to be either of those things. I sit in every area in between.
Simultaneously.
Yes.
What is gender?
All right.
I'm not sure. LGBTQ plus flash news. History is made as John Whaite and Johannes Radebe become the first all-male pairing on Strictly Come Dance. Watch this.
When I saw it was a big sparkly cake, I thought, oh, come on, it's got to be Johannes. And when he popped out of it, I'm blown away. It means the world that we're doing this together.
It's my pleasure.
How tall are you?
I am...
Let's stand back to back.
Absolutely. I'm taller, right?
You're a bit taller.
Yeah.
You've got the higher hair than me. It's a massive honor, this. It really is.
Are you not excited?
It's all about the dancing for me. I'm going to make sure that you whip me into shape, young man, because I want to dance 12 hours a day. I want to have hips like Shakira.
Through. Ladies and gentlemen, my partner.
My partner, actually. And it's all mine. I'm so happy.
I am delighted and beyond. Whatever you do,
Keep dancing!
Subjectively, hunky Great British Bake Off winner John Whaite found out who his dancing partner is for Strictly Come Dancing would be in the gayest way possible by Johannes Radebe popping out of a giant glittery cake. There's nothing gayer than that. Whaite is thrilled to be making history, saying, quote, "It's a case of inspiring young people to not feel afraid or ashamed of who they are. It's as simple as that, really. When I was growing up, I think if I'd seen 2 men or women dancing on a Saturday night on mainstream channel, I'd have grown up with not so much shame." I agree with that 110%. I think if I had seen a queer couple on TV growing up, I would not have been so ashamed to come out and not wait until my late 20s to come out to the entire world.
Well, believe me, you busted out of that.
John, wait for me, and please bring the frosting.
Oh dear.
And just like downtown Wilton Manors, at the end of the night, there's not a top in sight.
Ooh. I am such a huge geek fan of the Great British Bake Off. I love it. I watched his season, and let me tell you, I can't wait for this to come to America. I hope we do it because any guy-on-guy dance competition that has the word "come" in it, I'm all in.
LGBTQ plus flash news. Governor Whitmer's Motor City Pride We Pronoun jacket has the LGBTQ plus world talking. When people saw Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer at Motor City Pride, they loved it. When they saw her custom jacket, they got even more excited. The leather jacket featured the word we, with the pronouns they, them, she, her, he, him over it in rainbow colors. The art was painted on one of Governor Whitmer's jackets by her senior photographer, Julia Pickett. Pickett said, quote, "The governor and I were brainstorming ideas for Pride, and the idea for the jacket was born from that conversation. We wanted to make sure that the governor had something to wear that she was comfortable and confident in, and that showed her strong support for the LGBTQ plus community." End quote. Well, it is nice to hear a happy gay story coming from Michigan.
Once again, the unabductable Gretchen Whitmer proves that she's a badass.
Badass. You know, it's interesting to me, a governor that puts some thought into something as simple as a jacket that is hand painted. Governor Whitmer, I hope you're moving closer to the television as I say this. Please, please move here to Fort Lauderdale and become governor of Florida.
Or run for president.
Right. Can other governors follow suit? Just display your pronouns. It's very simple.
Some governors need to leave.
Oh, yes.
That is today's news for the LGBTQ plus community on the world's first and only LGBTQ plus evening news show. Is our community important to you?
Then help us by liking and subscribing. Ring the bell for updates. Share this news with your friends and family.
Post this broadcast in the many groups you are a member of. Tonight's stories about our community deserve the attention of your family and friends.
Queer News Tonight is the only live LGBTQ plus digital television program in the world that is out of the closet and into the headlines, and we need your support.
If our community is to grow, we must tell our stories and bring them to the attention of the broader world. This is the only place in the world that tells these LGBTQ plus stories in motion and sound. And that is the passion of Happening Out Television Network and Queer News Tonight. I'm Al Ferguson, and on behalf of these LGBTQ plus reporters, the anchors of Queer News Tonight, including Gordon Woodworth III, Karla Croqueta, and Gregg Shapiro. We will see you daily at 8 p.m. But before we end the show for the evening, we do have one last story.
Queer Up Entertainment. Trans Film has world premiere in Fort Lauderdale. Before we end our show, we would like to introduce you to Gail Miller. He is the creator of a new film, Antonia, that will be making its world premiere this coming Saturday at the historic Gateway Cinema here in Fort Lauderdale. We have a special interview with Miguel and our anchor, Al Ferguson. Watch this.
Oh, there we go. This evening, Queer News Tonight is joined by Gail Miller, the creator of the film Antonia. The film will world premiere on September 25th at the Gateway Theater here in Fort Lauderdale. Watch this.
Tell me everything that happened. Everything? Are you sure you want to know everything?
It was going kind of boring until I saw him. He had no idea who I was.
You knew him?
You could say we had a history.
Anthony.
Antonia. My name is Antonia.
I'm not your enemy.
It's okay. Don't be scared.
If you don't fight for yourself, no one else will.
What do you know about fighting for your life, detective?
Who are you talking to? Do I know you?
You have got to tell me why you killed him.
Got your placard? Your gun?
Was it in self-defense? Your fingerprints are all over the room and on the murder weapon.
I reached out for the gun. I wanted to end it.
Please help me recreate the scene.
Antonia is a transgender sex worker with a troubled past that we discover while Detective Anna Frank is interrogating her. Bloodied and beaten by Mr. Silverman, her client, Antonia relays the harrowing events that caused her bruises and his death. On a routine night working the street, she comes across a familiar face looking for sex. Antonia quivers initially, but decides to get into the client's car. Inside the motel room, a skittish Antonia and a reassured Mr. Silverman kiss passionately. The more they kiss and grope one another, the more Antonia wonders if the man responsible for her nearly daily beatings when she was 7 recognizes her. Detective Frank carefully probes for more details, a possible motive. Antonia encroaches with incrimination and incriminating information. She speaks about her father being embarrassed by his gay son and the shame it brings to the family. After hours of interrogating, Anna uncuffs a bewildered Antonia. The formidable detective softens to Antonia and offers her a consoling hand. So we welcome to Queer News Tonight, filmmaker Gail Miller. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
Very exciting to have this world premiere here in Fort Lauderdale. We are very supportive of the trans community, and this theme is actually absolutely on point for us. Tell us a little bit about the experience to making this film.
Oof. It was actually not difficult in the sense that when I dreamt this story and after it was already in process to be made, things flew very, very smooth because I deleted a lot of equations. I didn't want to do big shots. I did not want to use very expensive lenses. I want to concentrate on my story. And concentrating on the story, I was able to find the right elements. It was fun because I was surrounded with a bunch of people that respected, that liked the way I like to tell cinema, that loved the story, and we were able to convey that. Now, we had some hicks, and it was not easy finding a young boy to play the character because right now, well, not right now, parents have a tendency to be very protective, and you mentioned LGBTQ+, you mentioned trans, and even before questioning, before knowing what all the details, they would shut the doors on you. So that was tough. It was also tough finding the right actor because I lost the one that I had. I wanted to work with trans people, so I hired a trans woman to play the character of Antonia, and I lost her literally week and a half prior to shooting. So that almost shut us down. But we had an amazing actor that came on board, and even though I was super concerned at first, he delivered. He delivered everything that I expected for the character to be and to become. So it was amazing. It was magical. We have problems. We always have problems shooting. There's always stuff that goes on. Either you lose power, light breaks, something happened, wardrobe malfunction. You working 12, 18 hours. And you're working 12, 18 hours with people that want to be there. So they're not tired. If you are going, they're going. If you inspire them, they will flip a house upside down for you. So that was inspiring as well as it was draining. But finishing the movie and then taking a little break because we were really, really tired, the pandemic hit. Then we were on ground zero again. We didn't know what to do.
So shot before COVID-19 broke out.
Correct.
In January, February of 2020.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. And when did you go back to the editing and construction process? How long did that take?
We shot at the end. We shot in 2019, and then we took a little break because I needed a break. It was, for me, shooting is very exhausted. I don't sleep. I don't think of anything else. So I'm drained. So before we began editing, I took a couple of months off, and then...
And little did you know.
COVID happened.
Right.
So...
it's interesting to me because LGBTQ filmmaking must be difficult in and of itself. Funding, there must be 1,000 roadblocks to creating a film. Little did you know, I understand that you have directed and produced many films. Little did you know that the greatest roadblock of your entire life experience was going to be something that completely had nothing to do with LGBTQ.
It was, and it wasn't. I'm going to be very honest. It allowed me the time to sit with the piece and analyze frame by frame. literally analyze frame by frame. When you watch our film, if a frame is there, it's because I decided that it needed to be there. And I construct things. When I make a movie, I build things exclusively for my movie. The later I like them to be destroyed. I only wanted to exist there. So the world that I create is only for that film. Of course, with my access, it's not easy. So I have to merge things and tailor them, and then obviously deconstruct them again. So it was inspiring in that sense because I was able to sit with my editor, and we were a little frightened of each other. It's like he's editing and I'm 6 feet away watching what he's doing, and like, no, not too fast, no, not too short. Let me see that again.
Did you use that voice?
I used that one and a few others.
I'm curious, as an LGBTQ filmmaker, you're from the Dominican Republic.
Yes, sir.
How would the Dominican audience respond to a film with this theme and this trans theme?
No idea.
You don't have any idea?
I haven't made movies there. I got my education in the States. I went to school here. Most of my movies I made here. I show one film over there, and it was well received at a small venue. Wonderful. It was called Canonize Me, and they had a fantastic curation there, and that's the only time I showed anything there. And I did have a trans person there in that film. It was welcome.
Is trans a theme that you visit much in your filmmaking?
I'm inspired by them. I'm super
And why
inspired.
is that?
I find that the trans community is one of the hardest fighting community of all of us. They get so many roadblocks that they have to build walls to protect themselves, encage themselves inside those walls. And when I see the amount of things they have accomplished, I feel nothing but admiration. I'm super inspired by the trans.
And you're LGBT?
Yes.
Yes. And what are you hoping in this world premiere this week, September 25th at the Gateway Cinema? We are so thankful to have a theater like the Gateway here in Fort Lauderdale and in South Florida. What are you hoping viewers are going to come away with in watching your film?
Respect. All I want anyone and everyone to watch that film to respect the others. Even if you don't understand what a person is going through, even if you feel an energy at the time and you think it's negative, you think it's rejecting you, respect it, because you don't know what's happening behind it. Even if you see something that it is beside you that appears, the first reaction is to negate it, respect it. And if you don't want to be close to it, step aside.
You know, I'm curious, Miguel, your creative eye looking at our community. You're inside our community. You've talked about respect and acceptance in the trans community. Specifically for the L and the G and the B in our community, do you think our own community represents the kind of respect that you would expect for the trans community?
For the majority of us,
You do?
yes. Yes,
Yeah.
I do think so. I think that when it comes to stand together, we do so.
Yeah.
I looked around, and yeah, you see a loud voice here and there that somehow need to use their voice to be heard. But you also see other voices that scream in other directions that are able to create things for us. Throughout time, the loudest voices are the ones that have gotten the most amount of things for us. And I think that when it comes to it, we stand together. I believe so.
We're very lucky that Miguel Miller, as filmmaker, is based here in South Florida. I know you travel quite a bit, but we're very lucky to have you in our own backyard, and that leads to world premieres here in South Florida.
I'm so excited.
So we get it before New York or San Francisco or Los Angeles, which
So excited.
is exactly the way it should be, by the way. You're hoping to accomplish what after the premiere at Gateway? What will be next for a film like Antonia?
The Oscars.
Yeah. Hopefully.
You can never dream too little. I mean, I haven't had that dream. I'm joking. I don't. When I make a movie, I'm not thinking it had to fit here. It had to fit there. I don't try to fit any kind of festivals, because my movies are like my children's. And when you have a child, you don't cut an arm so it will fit this designer clothes. And festivals have a specific rules for reasons. You know, I understand that and respect that. For example, if you're going to submit a short to Cannes, it needs to be less than 50 minutes. If you're going to submit a short to Tribeca, it needs to be this amount of time. And if you're going to submit a film to most festivals, the big ones that are respected by a lot of people and looked at and bring you name and recognition, they have a very, very specific length, very specific requirement. And when I make a movie, the movie needs to live. It needs to live as a stand. And if it needs to be 10 minutes, it needs to be 10 minutes. And if it needs to be 3 minutes, it needs to be 3 minutes. I did a movie, and it was 10 minutes. And I loved it. But I sat down and I said, let me see if I can tell this story in less time. And I cut it down to 3 minutes. That movie needed to be 3 minutes, not 10. And I was able to cut it. Antonia needs to be 27 minutes and 30 seconds. A little more is too much. A little less is not what it needs to be. And I refuse to cut an arm, a leg of a child of mine to fit in a specific designer dress.
That's very interesting because the same respect that you put out in the world for the trans community, you put out for your own film. Which is loyalty. We encourage everyone. We are very lucky to have this in our own backyard, the world premiere of Gail Miller's Antonia. It's going to be September 25th at the Gateway Cinema on Sunrise Boulevard. Great location, great historic small theater venue. It's not an AMC, which is really nice, and that's great because I suspect in seeing this film, we are going to see a unique, different kind of trans story. Congratulations to you. We wish you all the luck for the film Antonio, and thank you for being with us tonight at Queer News Tonight.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
LGBTQ plus news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Laura are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out Television Network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBT